The board is set. The pieces are returning to their familiar squares, shaking off the memory of the last game. Welcome back to Chess Thoughts, the podcast where we push wooden pieces across a checkered board and see where our minds wander in the quiet spaces between the moves. I'm playing white today, opening the game, and as we start laying out our strategies, trying to anticipate the future, I find myself thinking about answers, specifically about what happens when answers become too easy to find. We live in an incredibly strange moment in human history. We are standing in the age of artificial intelligence. For the first time ever, we have an oracle in our pockets. We have immediate, unhindered access to almost the entirety of human knowledge. You can ask a machine to explain quantum physics, to translate a forgotten language, to write a business plan, or to summarize the entire history of the Roman Empire, and it will do it in 3 seconds. We know almost everything. And yet, look around, look inward. Despite having all the answers at our fingertips, we have never been more collectively lost. We have solved the universe, but we are still not finding ourselves. In the chess world, we have something called an engine. Programs like Stockfish have essentially solved the game. If you are stuck in a complex mid-game position, you can plug it into a computer and the AI will look millions of moves deep and tell you, with absolute mathematical certainty, the best possible move to make. But every chess player knows a hard truth. Memorizing the engine's move does not mean you understand the game. If you just play the moves the AI tells you to play, you aren't a chess player. You're just a courier for a machine's intelligence. You might win the game, but you won't learn a single thing about your own mind. We are starting to live our lives like we are playing with the engine on. When the ancient Greeks walked up to the temple of Apollo at Delphi, they were greeted by an inscription carved into the stone: "Know thyself." Socrates believed that an unexamined life wasn't worth living, but examining your life takes time. It's messy, it is full of cognitive dissonance, dead ends, and quiet moments of despair. Today, we are outsourcing that friction. We want to know what to eat, so we optimize our calories on an app. We want to know what to create, so we ask a prompt to generate the art. We want to understand our own minds, so we ask an algorithm to interpret our dreams. We are trading the difficult, meandering journey of self-discovery for instant, optimized information. The philosopher Byung-Chul Han talks about this in his critiques of our digital society. He argues that we are drowning in data, but starved for narrative. Information is everywhere, but meaning, the narrative of who you actually are, can only be forged by you. The AI can give you a map of the territory, but it cannot walk the road for you. Identity is not something you download. Identity is carved out of friction. It is the resistance we push against. Think about the physical act of making something. When I want to make a garment, let's say I'm putting together a heavy, oversized streetwear hoodie, I don't just snap my fingers. I sit down at my vintage Kenmore sewing machine, all metal, incredibly heavy, built decades ago. Working with a machine like that is a manual, physical dialogue. You have to thread the needle just right. You have to adjust the tension, feel the fabric pull, listen to the hum of the motor to know if a bobbin is jamming. If I just wanted a design, I could ask an AI to generate 1,000 perfect clothing concepts in 10 seconds. But having the image isn't the same as making the thing. The making, the literal friction of the needle punching through the heavy fabric, the mistakes, the seams you have to rip out and start over, that is where the style is born. That is where you find out who you are as a creator. When we remove all the friction from our lives, when every answer is instantly provided, when every inconvenience is optimized away, we are also removing the very boundaries that shape us. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist, famously said that existence precedes essence. What he meant was that you are not born with a pre-programmed identity. You exist first, and then you define your essence through your actions, your struggles, and the choices you make in the face of uncertainty. If a machine makes all the choices and removes all the uncertainty, what happens to your essence? You become a ghost haunting a perfectly optimized machine. We are moving into the end of this episode now. I think we need to give ourselves permission to not know things again. We need to reclaim the right to be confused, to be uncertain, to sit in an empty room with our thoughts and not immediately reach for our phones to fill the silence. Finding yourself isn't an equation to be solved. It's a feeling. It's the inexplicable melancholy you feel listening to a certain song late at night. It's the weird, uncomputable pride you feel when you finally figure out how to fix something with your own two hands. It's the way your heart races when you take a risk that no algorithm would ever recommend. AI can replicate human logic perfectly. It can even mimic human empathy. But the one thing it cannot do is experience. It cannot feel the weight of a wooden chess piece in its fingers. It cannot feel the anxiety of a ticking clock. So if you are feeling lost in this era of infinite information, maybe the answer isn't to search for more data. Maybe the answer is to turn the engine off. Make a suboptimal move just to see what happens. Sit with the friction of not knowing. Because the self isn't an answer you find at the end of a search query. The self is the one asking the question. A beautiful game, my friend. Thank you for sitting with me today and for sharing these chess thoughts. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor. Log off for a bit today. Go make something with your hands or just sit quietly and let yourself not know the answers for a little while. Until next time, keep moving forward, square by square.